Welcome to the 25 Years of Vampire the Masquerade podcast, a retrospective.
Hey folks, Brennan here. Thanks for tuning in to our 25 Years of Vampire the Masquerade podcast. If you want to reach out or follow us, we're on Facebook and YouTube as 25 Years of Vampire the Masquerade, Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch as 25 Years of VTM, and on our website at 25yearsofvtm.com. Support us on Patreon at patreon.com/25 Years of Vampire the Masquerade. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show.
Hey everybody. I'm reaching out to just sort of update everybody on what we got going on here at the lab and what we're doing here for 25 years. I should probably start with I should explain what's going on. And it's simply put, there's a thing with BJD that's hard for me to admit. I'm even going off script again here because I can't. I've tried many ways to write this. Nobody wants to write that they suck at doing something or they what have you. But I got to write it. I got to admit it. I got to say it. It just didn't work out. And it didn't work out for many reasons. The actual play for a BJD is hard to do and accomplish, at least at this time. And the reason it is because it's consistency of players to meet the game and be at the game. That's really what it is. I had a team of people who I do, well, let me not a team of people. Let me not be cold. Mike, DJ, Brennan, we're all very active in different parts of the country and world. And because of that, when we try to come together, we even made a pool of people to sub to be in it. And it just, every time I went back to the well to think about it, if you don't have a key group of people who can meet to do a set game, record it, and that's all they do, that's fine. But what you don't realize is DJ's got games at home that he runs, and he's ST4 he plays in. Mike, does a couple games as well, and they're very active and busy. And Brennan's, I feel like he does. There's like a whole social world that Brennan's a part of that I can't even keep up with most of the time. And so they often want to do this, and they came back to the well, but these guys were just getting exhausted. Like on camera, I could tell the energy wasn't there. I have pre-interviews with them to see where their head's at before we record, and if this is the day to do it. And it kept getting pushed off and postponed and everything under the sun. And what this did was just frustrate, because it's different than in a review. In a review, one person can do the book, and if they're on the up and up, one of us can go ahead and do that. Usually it's me, almost always. And I could definitely handle that. So that's why BJD can't happen. To make that even shorter, it's scheduling conflicts. And scheduling conflicts are hard to overcome. It's not that I have a different pool of people to pull from even. I certainly could find the people willing to be on camera to play a game. But that's not what I want to do. I want to make it the right mix of people who feel good doing it, that know me as an ST, so that it is the right fit and impression we want to give for what we love doing. That said, that's why BJD actual play came to an end. We still decided we were going to do actual plays, but right now DJ has the helm. We're only going to do one for the same reasons. When we do record it, we don't want to hold it to a constraint of this has to be out by then or whatever. We just want sometime during the month, folks will get an update of that progress of that game. The other hurdle is it wasn't just scheduling conflicts with BJD. It was the fact that it was BJD. There were a lot of scenarios that you had to pick from, and the more we went back to sort of re-review, and we made it a discussion less than a review of what was going on, we realized this book's depth, it tricks you in being succinct, and it's not succinct. There's a lot more to the book than what you know, and that's exactly what we wanted to find out. If you go back to our first video, that was my suspicion, that we're going to find out that maybe a couple chapters you can slam dunk and go from there and add to a chronicle, but others was a chronicle you wanted to play in. They were stories that you wanted to start and see to fruition. And a couple times we were doing it. We ran into it in Dixie, the War Across Dixie, and then we slammed into it trying to get into London Calling. It was too much. And we're really excited to do some campaigns. Those campaigns we will run at a later date. And I knew there was ones down the pipeline too that I was looking forward to that would be longer and I was doing work on before I realized that we should probably just record those games as we run them versus do a chapter one and done each month. And so that's what we decided to do. And we're calling it a quits for BJD on that end. So apologies if you were hooked on it. Another thing is that ST Circle is a thing that's been ended for a while, folks. We informed our patrons, we informed everybody else. that there would be no more forthcoming ST Circle that we were doing because we didn't see any interest in it. There was nobody chiming in that we had. At least we had one or two people dedicated, but we have no way of knowing. Like, we would see that it would get like 900 downloads, 1,000 downloads or whatever, and we would see that. And that's interest, but we weren't seeing that to the effectiveness of the other podcasts we were doing. And it's a manner of energy management and how much time management do you have. I would love to just sit and every day crank out a podcast and throw it out to everybody, but you don't pay me enough. That's the honest truth. At that point, that's a consistent demand that I could meet, but it's commensurate with the monetary compensation. I would need a team. I'd have to afford a team to be able to do that. So for the 30,000 plus listeners we have that download over the year-over-year metrics that we have, there's less than 1% that actually contribute to watch us function and what we have going on. And because of that, that's why we're not able to do and meet some of the demands that folks have going on, like ST Circle. If people did participate on the monetary end to support what they want to see, then I could justify the time because we owe it at that point, and we could do this. So that's why our patrons have hundreds of additional podcasts that they could listen to that aren't available public facing, because that's what they asked for. And to that end, I have a ton of projects on Patreon, more than I could even begin here. But to give you an example, I've started the Assamite Clan book at a greater depth in an attempt to teach the Assamite book to my flavor, to fearlessly show that you can take a clan book, get in the mix, get serious enough to understand why it was made, make reasons for you, and then apply those reasons into a cohesive usage, usage of said material as intended by the authors. It should not be a clan avoided. There should be no clan book you avoid letting players play if you've done the work. Now, the work requires you to read said clan book and to agree that the game you're in and running wants to have a character like that in it. I think the mistake we make, and a lot of them STs make, is that we like to bring players to the game and we do it with bribery. Play whatever clan you like, play this game, but then find out later on their game markers or their concept doesn't fit or something like that. It's not the method I use. It's the method I see fail most often. What I could tell you is that when you make a game, you know what? I'll save that. That's on Patreon too. It's storytelling tips and tricks and stuff like that I give as well. So I'm going to finish that Assamite Clan book because we've only done part 1 to go over the culture, history, origin of the name, the creator, and what I think are the actual reasons they formed the clan and how they had some solid work to have a good clan for it. And we're getting into maybe the culture behind it. And we're going to get into the actual training and how to use it, and then how to implement it as a player usage to digestion, where I think the clan book is set up as a storyteller to portray it. How do I, as a player, get into the mindset of playing this clan from all the aspects that are in with the clan itself, even looking at its divisiveness, and some interesting tinfoil hat theories where that's my way of saying my crazy ideas as to where I think that clan was headed and how I think it should be in the World of Darkness for its depth. And that's all going to be available to patrons only. It will never be made public facing. And that's how it goes. Now you may ask why. It's not because I set out to become rich. Trust me, doing this does not make me wealthy at all. It is done because it's what the fans asked for. It's still a labor of love, and it's to support the community in that endeavor. But I feel that my patrons have a louder voice. They're the ones who invest and support it. And Mike, DJ, and Brennan, well, I should say DJ's the longest supporter I've had, period. He's the first to the company we've ever had. Mike, of course, came on a little bit after that, and then, Brennan after him. So, but they're still some of the biggest contributors to see this labor of love, and even their time is what I'm considering as well. So my hat's off to those guys to help provide you that entertainment that you're making demands for now. We're starting to see it. But I say that to let you know what's going on. I'm ceaselessly applying more and more projects. We got another one coming up that I'm excited about, and I'll give you a hint. It is going back over the old vampire material, but it's in a discussive format. It's going to be something that's going to have, I won't say debates necessarily, but we're going to get into the meat of what fans talk about when it comes to these clan books. And we're going to kind of go over that and showcase those ideas. Because I think, honestly, the majority of people who create content for Vampire on YouTube and podcasts, they're cowards. They're afraid to weigh in on their opinion, and they're fans. They don't work for a company. They're free to have an opinion, and they should have one. And of course, I have them. In fact, one of my shows that I do on Patreon is called Opinionated. It's because I have an opinion. It's what opinionated means. And I'm not afraid to showcase that opinion. And you can differ and you can disagree, and I welcome a disagreement on our Discord. Join that, have a conversation, state what you don't like about something within reason, provided it's not toxic. It can disagree and not be toxic. Be an adult. We can have a chat and we can have a further discourse about it. Who knows? Maybe you're right. And to that end, thank you folks for listening. We're still creating content. We're still continuing the werewolf line. And in fact, next month, you're going to see Werewolf the Dark Ages. That's the next book we're hitting. And that's going to be a chunker. That's going to be probably a 2, potentially 3-parter, because it's only one Dark Age book they have for Werewolf I saw so far. It's nice, big, thick for Werewolf the Apocalypse, but Dark Ages. That's the line. And we'll get to that. And it's going to be different. Can't be like it is in modern, because it's, centuries before. And we'll see what that's like. After that, we got some V5 books that are getting released. And of course, we're still doing those. If you're listening to this, we did the Ratkin book and why am I forgetting on it? It's technically The Hungry Ghost. That's what it is. V5. That was Storyteller Volt. ST Volted. It was a decent book. It's still, well, I'll leave that for the review that we did and you can hear that. But you may have noticed there was like a deadpan period where it just seemed we didn't release anything for a month or two. Brennan and I were made aware of it recently. We caught that there's a break in there was a glitch. All I could say, it's better than explaining the logic behind it. We had recently shifted to get a larger storage capacity, and in a transition at storage capacity, it threw out and disabled some links, and some links we completely disabled because we were making those only patron only. Like the public had them enough facing, and now those are reserved for the patron because that's a benefit for them. We were allowing to see so folks could see and build credibility of what we were doing. If you value that stuff, you know where it's located. You can go to 25yearsvtm.com, check it out, sign up for a patronage there. It's always at the beginning of probably this very recording, no doubt. And you can reach out there. And to that end, folks, thank you for listening. If you enjoy our work and it helps you, fantastic. Someone has asked me the legalese behind downloading a podcast and saving it so it can't go behind a paywall. What I will say is, everybody likes to get something for nothing. However, what you get is nowhere near the value that others will get from joining something like Patreon. And that's because I won't invest the effort as hardcore for the public, because I know how the public is, as I would for patrons who choose to support and believe in me and us as a team. And because you do that as a patron, that's where the wealth is. You can join and then leave and do whatever and download, and I can't stop you. But this content, the company's already made money for it, right? We're dark packed, we're up like that. Just be aware of your logic. But I was asked this several times, enough for me to mention it here and to say this. I, as an artist, don't particularly care what you do with what you get from it. In fact, I know our podcast has inspired 50 plus other podcasts to go out and do it better or find ways to do whatever they do. And that's fine. And I encourage it. I think everybody should enjoy their hobbies. What I will say, though, is that when you cut the artist, you cut yourself, because they directly impacts the want to continue it. And that's where we're at. And if I'm going to do a project that I'm going to get in depth with and hardcore and make interesting, you best believe I'm going to do it for the people that support me before I ever do it for the public solely. Now, what I've done for the public is a labor of love. And we'll continue doing it, and that's book reviews, because I think it's awesome to say, I myself would buy a book. That's why we reviewed it. And if our review inspired you to do it, great, because I support the companies. And that's any company who writes a World of Darkness book, vampire or otherwise. Like Onyx Path is actually my favorite company. I'll let you know that up front. They have a lot of entertaining and fun books beyond the World of Darkness that are definitely worth getting into. And we will be reviewing Onyx Path exclusively after we're done with the World of Darkness line. And we hope those guys stick with us, and we hope they enjoy our reviews of their work, because they do great work. But beyond that, I said exclusively, but what I meant is they're our next focus. I should probably state that in advance. Just I'm real passionate about it and looking at, but we can't get too into it yet. We will, though. And that'll be that. So we're still alive, we're still thriving, we're still going. And I'll talk to everybody later. Please submit any things you want to say to us through the many media sources you can get to us. Thanks for listening, and please continue to do so. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for listening to our 25 Years of Vampire the Masquerade podcast. If you like what you heard and want to support us, please share it with others or leave a review. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.